Welcome to this explainer. Okay, be honest with me for a second. When was the absolute last time you sat down and read your organization's bylaws? If you're like most people, you probably think of your charter as this dusty, boring stack of rules you just flip through to sign at the bottom. Well, get ready for a total paradigm shift. Today, we're going to fundamentally rethink your role within your organization and completely transform how you view those foundational documents.
Let's dive right in by shattering the idea that joining an organization is just about signing a piece of paper. I want you to ask yourself, are you just a member or are you a steward of a legacy? You know, it's incredibly easy to view membership as this passive, static status. You pay your dues, you show up. But stepping into an organization actually means stepping into a continuous, flowing stream of history. You aren't just participating in the present moment, you're inheriting something built by others. And it's absolutely essential to figure out exactly how to treat that inheritance.
So to understand your true role, we're going to break this complex topic down into 4 clear steps. First, covenant versus contract. Second, understanding the founding conditions. Third, founders as human beings. And fourth, the path to institutional maturity. Let's jump right in.
Starting with Section 1, Covenant versus Contract, a shift in perspective. Think about it. A contract is entirely transactional. It's kind of like a receipt at a grocery store, right? It focuses entirely on immediate obligations and is enforced or dissolved through strict legal means. It's simply about what two parties owe each other right now, today. A covenant, however, is a whole different ballgame. It's much more like a living tree or even a profound marriage vow. It's relational and it's enduring. It literally connects generations. So while a contract binds current parties to a single transaction, a covenant binds generations of members to shared principles and a shared purpose. That's what actually defines an organization's identity across time.
When viewed through this lens, your founding charter suddenly becomes a moral compass. It isn't just a rigid set of rules, it's a mutual commitment. A commitment between the organization and its members, and critically, between the present chapter and all future chapters. It serves as this living historical record of the founder's original vision. This ensures that the decisions you're making today aren't just about putting out immediate short-term fires, but are constantly measured against the enduring values that your institution was actually built on.
So, what does this all mean for you? It means you aren't just a participant, you are a steward. Your duty is to protect those traditions, to honor the core principles, and to actively strengthen the foundation for whoever comes next. This living covenant calls on you to exercise leadership with real integrity, accountability, and an absolute fidelity to the organization's greater purpose. Moving on to Section 2, Understanding the Founding Conditions, Demystifying the Origins. You see, organizations don't just magically appear out of thin air for no reason. They are born out of absolute necessity. They're founded in direct response to the specific social, cultural, or institutional conditions of their era. To turn a dusty historical artifact into a living, breathing guide, you kind of have to play detective. You have to ask yourself, what specific real-world problem were the founders actually trying to solve? To really comprehend the words written in your charter, you absolutely have to understand the environment that made those exact words necessary in the first place. And you can unlock the true why behind those codified values by asking 3 analytical questions. Step 1, identify the exact problem that was being solved. Step 2, pinpoint the gaps in existing institutions that forced them to create something entirely new. And Step 3, understand the specific kind of community they hoped to build to fill that gap. Doing this analytical groundwork is exactly what transforms a static piece of paper into a vibrant, practical guide for the decisions you make today.
Which brings us to Section 3. Founders as human beings, moving beyond mythology.
Look, we must appreciate their massive achievements, but we also have to acknowledge that our founders operated strictly within the boundaries of their time. They were bound by their social norms, cultural expectations, political realities, and the available knowledge of their era. They were brilliant for sure, but they didn't have a crystal ball. They had no way of knowing what society would look like a century later. Effective organizational literacy means holding 2 truths at the exact same time. You respect their enduring wisdom while simultaneously acknowledging that some of the assumptions they made might just need re-examination as society completely evolves.
Having true respect for your founders actually takes deep humility. As the quote goes, enduring organizations preserve their core purpose while possessing the wisdom to distinguish between timeless principles and time-bound assumptions. I love that. It takes real courage to recognize the difference between a timeless, universal truth and a rule that, frankly, only made sense back in 1920.
Mature institutions recognize that honoring founders doesn't mean freezing their ideas in ember. It's all about thoughtful stewardship over rigid preservation. Evolving these ideas isn't revisionism at all, it's a mature confidence in your mission. It's knowing exactly how to faithfully apply foundational principles as the world completely changes around you, ensuring those principles remain relevant and effective for the future.
All right, final stretch, Section 4, the path to institutional maturity, bridging past and present.
Organizations are essentially a continuous timeline. You start all the way back at the founding era, you naturally accumulate years and years of precedent and tradition, and finally you arrive at the present, where modern interpretation takes over. Institutions evolve not just through formal amendment processes, but through these ongoing interpretive traditions. A healthy, mature organization is always in an active dialogue with its past, rather than just blindly repeating it like a parrot.
Think of precedent and tradition like the massive underwater portion of an iceberg. They carry enormous weight, even when they aren't explicitly written down in the rulebook above the surface. To be a truly effective member and a wise steward, you must understand the whole picture, both the exact written words and the unwritten interpretations that have been lived out by the generations that came before you.
Because ultimately, the history you learn today directly shapes the institution you build tomorrow. So as you step into your role, I want to leave you with this final, crucial question. When the next generation looks back at your era, will they see you as just a passive member or as the wise steward who bravely guided this living covenant into the future? Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and step into your legacy.